about inner classes. Okay, what is an inner class? By its simple definition, a class defined within a class is called as inner class. Now, the moment you hear this particular statement, it becomes quite confusing. Till now, I have been telling you guys that a class comprises of its members. The members include your constructor, your instance variables, as well as your instance methods. You have got your static variables and your static methods also as, or they are also considered as a member of your class. So all these members or all these different methods and variables come together and they form a particular class. Now, can a class be empty? Can I have a class without any variables and without any method? Yes, I can have a class, but it would be no use. Now, whenever a class is defined within a class, at that time, the class which is within the class, okay, is called as an inner class. Now, you would ask me, why would anybody do that? Now, I want that, for example, I want a functionality to exist, or let's take an example of this. An SMS is to be sent only through mobile phones, okay? Suppose this is a particular criteria. Sending an SMS together is an entire different application. It would have its own flavor. But I am saying, or I am putting a condition that till the time the mobile phone has not been created, you cannot send an SMS, okay? So sending an SMS is relying on the creation of mobile phone. So there are times when you have to, there are times when your classes or the objects depend on the, you can't say the base class. The objects or the classes depend on other class for its existence. At that time, you are going to create inner classes. Now, there are variety of inner classes possible. Okay, there are around three. Theoretically, there are 3 inner classes, but practically there are 4. Okay, so in theory, you've got 3 inner classes. One is called as the normal or the regular inner class. Okay, the second one is your local method inner class. Third is your anonymous inner class. We have seen an example of anonymous inner class in previous lectures. So this time I'm going to explain you what does this do. And the fourth one is called as static inner class. Okay, so the regular inner class is the basic inner class. Here all these classes will depend on this particular regular inner class, the way it is defined. Now, by the very definition, a regular inner class is a class defined within the class, which means that you have a class over here. Let me call this class as A. This class A has got a variable I. It has got a method M1. Now, I and M1 are what? I and M1 are members of your class A. In the similar manner, I will define one more class over here called as C. Okay? Now, when I am defining a class within, this particular class also become a member of A. It is going to treat, A is not going to treat C as a different class by itself. A is going to treat C as a member only. Okay? So when you declare a regular inner class, this regular inner class becomes a member of your class A. It is just like any other member, a method or a variable defined in your class. Now let's see how do we define these classes. Now here I have a class called as outer. Okay? Now just delete this private and final. Right now I just don't want to introduce all those things. Okay, I have got 2 variables. One is I declared as 10, one is J declared as 15, and the name is declared as Azad. Now all these variables are nothing but my instance methods. Then I have an object, or I have a constructor of outer, which is again a member of the class outer. Then I am not having any method over here. You can have a method if you want. Now here, see, the class outer is starting from here, and before the closing loop of this class, I have declared one more class, class inner. Okay, and this class inner also has a variable I as 5. Okay, now just comment this 5 right now. Let's consider that this particular class inner has got only one method, and this one method is nothing but M1, and it has got one line, system.out.println M1 called. Now since, just come here, delete this I because we have commented this I, just delete this I. Yeah. And I'm going to print the value of J. Okay. Now, just like you have defined variables, your constructor over here, I have defined an inner class. Okay, so it's a regular inner class, a class defined inner class, and this regular inner class is treated as a member of the class in which it is defined. Now let's see how to create an object. Now whenever we are talking of creating an object, what usually happens? You say name of the class, a reference variable equal to new name of the class, and call the constructor. Correct? So now what if we just go to test.java. Okay, I'm just going to say outer O equal to new outer. So would an object of outer get created? Of course yes, because I have defined a class called as outer and I am creating an object out of it. Okay, delete all these things actually. Okay, now let's compile this particular class. So we'll say javac test.java, and now let's compile Java and test. What would happen? Nothing would happen because we are just creating an object of outer class. Okay, so when we are creating an object of outer class, the constructor is getting invoked. Constructor getting invoked, all instance variable are going to get initialized, fine. Now go back to your outer.java. Here say, do I have a method M1 over here in my class? Yes, but where is it? It is defined inside inner. Okay, so can an object of outer invoke this method M1? No, it cannot. Okay, just see. We'll go to test and we'll just say O.M1. Okay, so we'll just compile our application, and now when we are typing this, see the error which we got was cannot find symbol. I am not able to find method M1. Now you would counter over here and tell me method M1 is defined in the class outer, but where is it defined? It is not defined directly in outer, but it is defined inside inner. Okay, so inner is what? Go back. It is defined in the class inner. Now when I am saying that outer class is treating this inner class as a member, I can, as an outer class, I can only access inner. I cannot access the methods or the variables which are given inside the inner. Okay, I cannot do that. So in order that if I have to invoke M1, what I need to do? I need to create an object of whom? I need to create an object of an inner class. Now, can I say inner I equal to new inner? Just let's go through the test and compile it. Now let's say inner I equal to new inner. Because now since we want to access M1, okay, we want to create an object of our inner class. So we are saying inner I equal to new inner. This is how we usually know how to create our classes. Objects. Now let's compile it. It's saying, see boss, I am not able to find where is inner. I don't know where you have defined inner. Why is this so? Because again the same answer. Inner class is not independent by itself. Inner class is saying that, see boss, I am being treated as a member of outer class. If outer class object is not created, you cannot create my object at all. I am dependent on the existence of outer, only then I will be created. So how do we create an object of inner class? This is a very interesting thing. Okay, we'll go back. And here, in order to create an object of inner class, you've got a very beautiful syntax. Just comment this out. Comment it out. Line number 7. Okay, now just press enter and write outer, say outer only. Go here. Outer dot inner space I. Because now here I am specifying where is our inner located. Inner is located inside my outer. Equal to, in order that I have to create an inner class object, the outer class object should be pre-existing. So what I am going to do, I am going to create an object of outer like new outer dot, on that object I am going to create my new inner. Okay, yeah. So see how beautifully it is done. If you want to create an object of inner class is nothing but a member of the class within which it is defined. So here I have got to first tell my JVM, see boss, I is of type inner. This inner is defined as an inner class in my outer. So outer dot inner I equal to, since a member exists only if the object is existing, I am going to create an object of outer, and on the same object I am going to create an object of inner. Okay. Now say I dot M1. Now I am trying to invoke my M1. I am trying to call up my M1 by whom? By this particular reference variable. Okay. Now compile your application. Oh, new outer and new inner aega. Because on one object you are creating the other object. Okay. So now when we compile our application, we are getting two objects of outer. The one is one which we created. The second one is, while creating the inner object, the outer object needs to get created. Okay. So here 2 times the constructor is getting called, and M1 is accessing the J, and the value of J is 15. Okay. Go back to your edit plus. Go to outer. Now where is J being defined as? What is J? J is over here. Okay. So all the members which are defined in inner can access the members of the outer class. Okay. Now I would try to print the value of I also. Can you just print the value of I? Say Control J and here say I. That's it. Yeah. Okay, so I am able to access my I also, which is nothing but my 10. Now go back to your application. Now here I would uncomment this I. Now tell me which value would be printed, the one in the inner class or the one in the outer class. The one in the inner class has got 5, the one in the outer class has got 10. Let's check it out. Compile it. Compile it. Did you save it before? No. Which one is getting called? The one which is defined in the inner class. Go back. So whenever you have variables which are like same, or if you have the overriding variables over here, then all your methods are going to take a look at this overridden value of your variable. It would not go to the outer class, but it would check first. Do I have the value of I? Yes. This value of I is overridden, so I am going to consider this particular value instead of this. Okay. Now create private, or make this I as private, and comment this I. Comment the line number 12. Now I have made, what did I do? I created, or I am declaring this int variable as private, okay, and I am commenting this out. So now this I, which I am printing in method M1, it is pointing to which I? It is pointing to this line number 3. Okay, let's compile. So you are able to access your values, that is nothing but 10 over here. Now why did I show you with private? The reason over here is, many people have got that setback that private variables can be accessed within the class only. They are not seen outside the class. Okay? Whereas in this particular example, okay, we have got two classes over here. One is outer, the other is inner. So some people might have that conception that if I is created as private, or if I is declared as private, then my inner cannot access my private. It is not so. Because now if suppose your int j was also private, okay, and you had a method in your outer which was accessing I also, which was accessing j also, would it be allowed to access? Yes, certainly, because method M1 is defined in the same class. In the same class I am accessing my I am accessing my j. Now here when I am declaring another class called as class inner, it would be treated as the member itself. So any member defined in your outer class can access all the private variables. You are not supposed to consider this inner class as a separate class altogether. You should consider it as the member of your class in which it is defined. Okay, so I hope it is clear. We'll just summarize this regular inner class. Regular inner class is a class which is defined within a class. It is treated as the member of the class, and it can access all the members defined in the above class, or it can access all the members of its enclosing class. Okay. Now whenever you are creating an object of your regular inner class, you should make sure that the object of the enclosing class is created first, and based on that object you are creating the object of your inner class. Go to your test. Okay. Now this particular line number 8 is very important. Okay, the syntax of how we are declaring this particular value I, outer dot inner. I'm instructing my JVM, this I is of type inner, but inner is defined in outer, and I want to create an object. Okay, instead of saying new outer, can I pass O over here? Yes, I can pass O. Just do this. O dot new outer, because all you need is an object of your outer class. Okay, O dot new inner. Okay, so now let's compile it. Same thing. Okay, now go back. Now let's move to another category of our inner classes, which is called as local method inner class. Now by the name itself you should understand, a class which is defined within a method is called as local method inner class. What is regular class? A class within a class. Local method in a class which is defined within the method is called as local method in a class. Let's see an example of that. Go to local.java. Okay, now here I have got my class called as local. Okay, now first I would advise you to, okay, let's see it on the way. The class over here is local. Now in local, what do we have? We have a variable called as I. The value of I is 10, and then we have a method in it. Okay, now the name of the method is M1. Inside the method M1, I have declared a variable J. Now tell me, whenever I am declaring this particular variable as J, is this J, just remove this final for 1 second here. Now is this J variable which I have created, can I access it outside my method? I cannot. Why? Because J I have created within the method. So the moment I have finished the execution of the method, the J variable is going to die. I cannot use it outside my method M1. This J variable is local to my method M1. In the same manner, when I am defining a class within a particular method, it means that I am supposed to create an object of this class in the method itself. I cannot create it outside the method. Okay, now come down. Okay, so I am creating over here class method local, and here I have got a method inside this class called as M2. So what is this printing? System call, and it is printing the value of J. Now in order to create an object of this particular class, where will I create the object? Inside the method itself. I cannot create it outside. Okay, then I am invoking method M2, and then I am saying M1 called. This is nothing but my original M1. Okay, so now just compile this. Javac. Now see, just observe the error. What is it saying? It's saying that there is a local variable J, but this particular J is being accessed from within the inner class. It needs to be declared as final, which means that if you are declaring your methods, or just go back to the code, I want to explain it with the code. All the methods defined in this particular class, okay, cannot access the local members of M1. Suppose if I am writing a method M2, or I try to override this particular method variable J, I cannot do that. Okay, because it's a rule in Java which says that the local method inner class cannot access the local members of the method in which it is defined. Okay, so I cannot access J until and unless it is made as final. The moment any variable is made as final means I am declaring the constant of that. Okay, so make it as final. Okay, now just compile it. Now run the application. There's no main in the application. Okay, go back. This is what our typical example of our local method in a class. Let's go to test 3. Test local. Now how am I creating how am I invoking my local method in a class? I'm just invoking this method. The moment I invoke this method, what would happen? I would go inside the method and execute the method. What is defined in the method? a class is defined in the method, and in that method, what again is defined? Go back to the method. Okay, a class is defined in this method. Apart from this, I am creating an object of method local within the method only. Okay, because you cannot create it outside the method. See, it's a very simple thing. Now suppose I have got a method over here. Okay, just plain simple C concepts. In this method, I am defining M1, M2 variables. Okay, int M1, int M2. Now this is defined within a method. If I go to the main, okay, or just forget the main also. See, suppose this is a class. Okay, in this class I have got method mm. In this method I am defining variables int m1, int m2. Okay, now I have got a public void main and all that stuff. If I try to access m1 and m2 directly, will I be able to access? No, because m1 and m2 are defined local over here in your method. They are not defined as your instance variables. So since they are local to the method, you cannot use it after that method is completed. Correct? Same goes for your for loop. Suppose you have got a for loop over here, okay, and you define your I itself, int I equal to blah blah blah. If you try to use the value of I after the for loop, will you get the value over here? No. They will say the for loop is finished, I has been lost, I cannot give you the value of I. So as you know, whenever you're talking about the scope of variables, there are two scopes of variables, local and global. When your variable is global, you can access it anywhere in the class. But when your scope is local, then those variables should be accessed within the body where they are defined. If it is defined in a constructor, it can be used only in the constructor. If it is defined in the method, it can be used only in the method. It cannot be used outside the method. In a similar manner, if my class is defined in the method, okay, it's defined in the method M1, can I use this class outside my method? Or can I create an object of this class outside my method? No, because if I try to create an object of this method local class outside, people would tell me, I do not recognize method local. Where is it defined? I don't know about it completely. Okay, so in case if you have got your local method inner classes, you have to create an object within the method only. Okay, please make sure about this. Secondly, all the variables or all the methods which are defined in your method local class can access only and only final variables in the enclosing method. It cannot access any other method, or it cannot access any other variables. Okay, so let's do one thing now. Let's go and compile our application. So we will compile the application. Javac test local.java. Java test local. Okay, so M2 is getting called. Sorry, your method M1 is getting called. The moment your M1 is getting called, the class is defined over there, and the object of the class is also created over there. Okay, so your object is getting called and you are invoking the method M1 on that particular object. Now the third variety of the class is called as your anonymous classes. Okay, now what do you mean by anonymous class? A class which does not have a name is called as an anonymous class. Now here, when we are declaring classes, what is the name of this class? The name of this class is test anonymous. Okay, now just go to this test.java. What is the name of this class? The name of this class is test. So whenever you are declaring a class, and if a class does not have any name, it is meant by, or it is called as, anonymous classes. Now why do we use anonymous classes? Okay, just like your anonymous arrays, if you would have remembered, those were also called as one-time arrays. In the same manner, your anonymous classes are also called as one-time class. That means the class is going to get used only when you are defining it. Okay? After that, if you want to create an object of that class again, you cannot create an object, because how do you create an object? How do you create an object? You say test t equal to new test. Yes? So test is nothing but a class which is defined somewhere. T is nothing but the variable which is pointing to the class test. New is nothing but creating a new object. This test is again the name of the class. Now, when we are talking about anonymous inner classes, we are saying that it does not have name. So can I say I equal new? Can I say that? Because the name of the class is absent over here, because it is an anonymous class. I cannot declare it like this. This is a wrong syntax. Absolutely wrong syntax. So, how to create anonymous classes? There are two ways of creating it. Why do we create anonymous classes? We create anonymous classes because those are one-time classes, okay, and it can be used only at one time. It is mainly used in order to provide the implementation for a particular interface, or for a default, if you want to provide an implementation to a particular base class, you want to override the pre-existing implementation without creating a new derived class, then for that particular manner you've got to use anonymous classes. Now first of all, we are going to take an example of interface. So by definition, whenever you're talking about anonymous classes, the classes which do not have any name are called as anonymous classes. Secondly, how do we create anonymous classes? There are two ways of creating anonymous classes. One is with the help of overriding, or one is with the help of the base, not inheritance mechanism, overriding mechanism, and second is with the help of interfaces. Okay? So now over here, what am I going to do is, I am going to define an interface I1. Just go to i1.java. Now I1 has got an interface M4 and M5. There are two methods defined in your interface over here. Now if I want to give a body to these particular methods M4 and M5, what I need to do? I need to create a class, and I need to define in the definition of class that C by class ABC implements I1. When I say class ABC implements I1, then it is compulsory for me to provide the implementation of M4 and M5. Now suppose I don't want to do that. I want to only deal with the method M4. Okay, I'm only interested in M4. I'm not interested in M5 at all. I do not want to provide the body of M5. Okay, and my requirement is then and there only I want to use it and finish it off. I don't want to remember this particular class for a longer time. Okay, there was an event occurred, I provided the solution, matter finished then and there. I want to utilize this class only for one time. I don't want to reuse it again and again in my code. For that particular thing, what I am going to do is go to test anonymous. No, test anonymous too. Okay, just look at the beautiful way how you define your classes. Now, forget I1 equal to new I1. Just forget that constraint. Now, just look at this. Here, a class starts, and here the class ends. Okay, do you find any name to this particular class? No, you don't. Now, anyone would argue with me saying that, see boss, I1 is the name, I1 is not the name, I1 is nothing but an interface over here. here by providing the anonymous class, I am saying that I am implementing I1, but that is only for one time. Because I don't have name, I cannot be reused anywhere else. Okay, so I am saying I1I equal to new I1, and then I am providing the body of this particular I1. Okay, and then I say I dot M4, and then I am saying I dot M5. I am invoking method M4, I am invoking method M5, that is nothing but this M4 and this M5. On what? On this particular interface. Now, by polymorphism, you must know that interface reference variable can point to an object which is implementing that interface. In the same way, over here, I don't have a name, I don't have a definition of this class, but I am providing the implementation for M4 and M5. So I am saying I1I equal to new, and then I am having a constructor over here, sorry, I am having a definition of the class which is giving me M4 defined, M5 defined. Okay, is it clear? So anonymous classes are classes which do not have any name, but they are providing the implementation for the interfaces which they implement. Now compile this. Run this. Test anonymous 2 है actually. So M4 called, M5 called. So without giving the name to a particular class, I was able to implement an interface and provide the body for the methods defined in an interface. Now in the same way, suppose you want to define a class, okay? But you don't want that class should be derived from a base class. But you want to override the the mechanism, or you want to override the methods defined in your base class. Now this is very simple over here. Suppose I have got a class called as subscriber. Okay? Now in this subscriber I have got two methods. One is make call, the other is receive call. Okay? Now over a period of time, wireless classes came into picture, and they said we are not going to use this make call mechanism, because in this make call mechanism you have electrical signals and all that stuff. We are going to use another technique, and that technique is using our electronic magnetic waves. So I go and create a new class over here called as WLS, that is your wireless class. Okay, now here I am saying make call and providing my implementation over here. What am I doing? I am overriding the method of make call. Okay, but suppose this wireless class I have written keeping in mind my GSM technology. Okay, now CDMA technology has just come up. Fine. What I want to do, I want to test my CDMA technology. The technology is not stable, and it does not, I'm just in my testing phase. Okay, so now I won't go and create a class over here which is going to get extended from subscriber and all that stuff. I would say that instead of creating a derived class to check the functionality of my CDMA thing, I am just going to create an anonymous class, because I am going to test it only once. I am not going to create this class and keep it in my class bundle, or I am going to keep this class forever with me. I am just going to use it only one time in order to check whether it is running properly or not. In that case, I am going to go for an anonymous class. Just let's have a look at our base class.java. Just say base.java. Now here, this is my subscriber class, suppose. Normal base class, public void M1, public void M2. I am not happy with this M1 functionality. I only want to test it once, or I want to change the functionality only at one instance. One time somewhere I want to change the functionality. For that, I would not extend or create another class. I would make use of anonymous class. So go to test anonymous. See how I do. I'll say base B equal to new base. Okay, I'm saying new base, but what am I doing? I'm saying base, you please take this particular thing as your what? Take this particular thing as nothing but your body of the class. Okay, so when I'm saying new base over here, anonymous class checks what is this base? Is it an interface or is it a class? If it is a class, it means that I as an anonymous class have to extend from here, and then I can override any methods over here. So what did I do? I have overridden my method M1. Okay, then I am calling M1 over here, I am calling M2 over here. Okay, now M1 from the derived class is going to get called, that is from anonymous is going to get called. M2 is going to get called from where? From the base class. So whenever you are defining your anonymous class over here, your anonymous class is going to check this part. Is it a class or is it an interface? If it is a class, then okay, fine. I am getting extended from this class. If it is the interface over here, it means that I have to implement this interface. Can you plus run this? And see, over here, go back to your Reddit plus. When I am saying new base, I am not giving a semicolon over here. I am defining my entire class, and after that I am giving a semicolon over here. Okay, which means the definition has been completed. So anonymous classes, your anonymous inner classes are also called as one-time class. So anonymous M1 called, base M2 called. Okay, so we will just wrap up by defining what did we learn today. We learned about inner classes. There are three different types of inner classes: regular inner class, method local inner class, and anonymous inner class. Regular inner class is defined as the same member, or it is defined exactly as a member of the class which is enclosing it. It behaves also like the member of the class. When you are talking about method local class, a class which is defined within the method is called as method local class. Now the method local class can only access the final variables of its enclosing method. It cannot access the normal variables of its enclosing method. Third is anonymous classes. Anonymous classes are majorly used when you just want to use the class at one instance and just forget about the class. You need not worry that class is there, I have to create an object of that class, anything. You want a class, you create an anonymous class, one time shot, and forget about that particular class. Anonymous classes can be created in two ways. One is using interface, other is using your normal classes. Okay, whenever you are defining your anonymous class, it will check whether this is an interface or whether it is a class. If it is an interface, it will have to implement all the methods in the interface. If it is a class, you can override any method which you want at that particular instance.